So I'm saying this to you to say it's not going to happen overnight. None of what I'm saying here can happen overnight. But what I want to communicate to you is that there is a process that has begun. And what is different is that we have the economy to support these developments. And so Jamaica is in a new phase of its development. So for example, we have started to build out an entirely new town in St. Thomas. Yes. An entirely new town in St. Thomas. I see a lot of people here from St. Thomas. Now remember, when we were doing the road to St. Thomas, oh my, the complaints, and deservingly so, people rightfully so, because it created great dislocation. But the road is almost complete, people understand, and they now see the new Morant Bay Urban Center being built. It's under construction. And we decided to do it that way, so that we did not have to further inconvenience people in the old town of Morant Bay. So we found 25 acres of land which was not being used, the old Goodyear factory. It's laid here for almost 30 years unutilized, and we have decided to build a brand new town. This is going to be the first purpose-built township in Jamaica. And it is under construction. The second one is Bernard Lodge. I don't know how many of you heard about the Bernard Lodge development. Bernard Lodge, the old sugar plantation, that's in St. Catherine. And we have now done an entire master plan, and we have gotten developers to come in, and they have now started construction of a new housing estate. 15,000 houses are slated for that development in addition to an urban center, and that is underway. Where we now have to look at Portland and the town of Port Antonio, and we have put in place a development plan for that, fantastic development plan, and that will begin next year. Then we're going to move to the town of Lucy. Because I don't know how many of you have gone back to Hanover in a little while. The traffic to get from Montego Bay to Lucy, through to Lucy to the Grill. So that is the next zone. Spanish Town is on our radar, but Spanish Town is going to require a plan of a different scale. You know, Spanish Town is the old capital. You know, Jamaica has had 3 capitals. You know. Which was the first? Port Royal. Spanish Town and then Kingston. Right? So we're gonna do Spanish Town. That, as I said, that takes a little bit more planning, but that is going to take a lot of money to fix that up. So what I'm saying to you is that we're going to be building a country for which we can be proud. So when you hear other people talking about their country as a place where people are going to invest, not just to go on vacation, but to go and invest, Jamaica is heading into that direction. We're not just a place of dancing, not just a place of music, not just a place of people who run fast, not just a place, you know, of people with lively personalities. But we are also a place for business and investment. We are a place of challenge that Jamaica has always had is that we oscillate. Sometimes we become indisciplined and want to throw off the rigor of the process. We become disillusioned and believe that to take another path might bring us to where we want to go. And then we find ourselves circuitously coming back to where we were. So the mission is to keep explaining to people that here is the path. The mission is to include people who may think that they have an alternative and bring them into a conversation so that if they genuinely do have an alternative, it gets included in the path. But Jamaica should not veer from the path that we are on now. It's a very important point because those of you who are old enough would see veering from the path and what it has resulted in. I don't have to go into the diversions of the 70s. But that's our history, and I hope we have learned from the history. But there's another element of Jamaica which I'm going to close on. Well, when you reminisce about Jamaica, you have romantic views of Jamaica. A place of great respect, where people take pride in themselves. Good morning, good evening. People get upset if you don't tell them good morning. We have almost a Victorian view of how we should be manageable, as we call it. And many people are quietly disappointed as they see the new society emerging, which is quite less respectful of the old values. And we're secretly worried of the descent into incivility. And we wonder, how is this going to be arrested? Because any intervention that is made is countered with an attack on freedom. So we are at a stage in the society where we are wrestling with the rights of the individual versus the stability of the society. The rights of the individual versus the national security of the society. And any liberal society will face this. Governments have to skillfully manage it because an erosion of either is to the detriment. If you erode individual rights, it will cause a collapse in the society. And if you don't pay attention to the public good issues, it will cause an erosion in the society. You have to find a way to delicately balance both. What we do know is that where ignorance is high in the society, that balancing is even more important, but it takes even longer. So one strategy of bringing the society towards that unified view of the future is through education. And we have to educate our society. We can't ban them from social media. We can't restrict the information that they have. can't censor everything. We can't prescribe how they should dress, how they should walk, what they should sing. In the modern world that we live in, what we have to do is empower them to make the right decisions. And so I acknowledge the magnitude of the task, because the truth is, some of you, when you left Jamaica with nostalgia about the education system, that it gave you an edge for you to do well. And the education system still produces high-performing Jamaicans. Unfortunately, we lose them. Again, we can't stop them from migrating. So the challenge for this generation, if we want to make the society livable, because that's a real problem. For people who live in Jamaica and persons like yourself who have migrated, it's the livability of the society. It's just all, what you expect to be just civility and natural peace, patience with each other, just basic, aberrant garbage is in front of your gate. Yes, you're going to complain about it, but you're going to also sweep it up because you don't like it. So we have kind of lost some of that. And how do we get it back? It has to be primarily through the education system. So the education system, in some instances, I think we could say it would have lost its soul. Meaning that the soul of the education system is the dissemination. Let me put it in this way. There are those who believe that the primary purpose of public education is to deliver knowledge to students. But that's not the primary role of the education system. It's an important role. The primary role of the education system is to deliver values. Values. It's interesting. Before you started the event, someone came up here, and what was it called? The land acknowledgement. An important value of inclusivity. And nobody felt this was an imposition. But the society here acknowledges that we have to be instrumental in ensuring that every single Canadian understands this value of inclusivity. Of course there are challenges, but it is the response of the state to mandate this in your public education system, in your public ceremonies. In Jamaica, if you attended that, you might hear all kinds of contradictory views about imposing on and why should we do this, and this is in favor of one group versus another. And so the society needs to come to this understanding, and we need to get there by ensuring that our education system is structured in such a way that it can deliver values. Value is a political issue, because what you value may not be what I value. So the debate is necessary, what we set on. But what we do know about values through the education system is that it is absolutely necessary to ensure that your society has something that we call socio-emotional intelligence. And that is regulated. That if somebody step on your suede clocks, you don't beat them to a pulp. So it's not just depending on the church or the home, but the state has to say, listen, what it means to be a Jamaican is that if someone steps on your suede clogs and it is not a threat to your life, then violence is not the only way to resolve conflict. And in fact, we should avoid violence. What it comes down to, that's the little thing. But if somebody steals your land, let me put it another way. If your brother steals your land, you shouldn't hire somebody to kill him. If you have a dispute with an intimate partner, let her go or let it go. Wish them well. So the livability of the society in terms of getting on top of this violence, which is just taking over as the only means of resolving conflict, this is something that we have to address and address in an instrumental and a deliberate way. So it's not something that we just talk about. So I'm not just talking about it. So, as government, we're busy dealing with the fiscal issues to make sure that the economy is running right, so that we get the dividends, so that we can deal with the infrastructure issues, so that we can deal with the public service, so that we can deal with the efficiency, the delivery of public service to the public. But then there's this big mission of how do we change this negative pall that has befallen us of violence that has taken over so much of our society. And we've started by putting in place a task force to review our education system, education transformation report that was done. So we have now put in place an implementation structure, how we're going to change the education system. We have appointed a commission led by an eminent Jamaican pediatrician, medical scientist, who, Dr. Marine Sansvon, Professor Marine Sansvon, and that commission will give us a report very soon, and then based upon that, we intend to make some changes to the structure of government to deal with this issue of violence. Obviously, crime is a major challenge. In that regard, I think we have, in the last 7 years, we have invested heavily in our police force. The JCF of 10 years ago is not the JCF of today. The JCF has improved significantly. But it is not a flip of a switch. Investigating a crime takes time. To train an investigator takes 2 to 3 years sometimes. To entrench this culture of intelligence gathering, discipline, and rigorous investigation, to entrench that in a force of 14,000, it takes time. To have the force being understanding and respectful of human rights, it takes time to train the new officers, to put that in the curriculum, to let them understand, in addition to the other systems that have to be in place. like the Independent Commission of Investigation and so forth, and the internal systems of the police. All of those things are in place. So, I've taken up so much of your time, and I hope that I made sense. But the message